Is there a future for video stores? Is there going to be a future, or is there going to be a decline in video stores?
Well, I think it's going to be a great future.
Next up, Matt and I will be discussing the top 10 VHS horror artwork that scarred us as children.
Welcome back to 4K Kings. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And welcome to your home of physical media, movie reviews, and so much more.
That's right, Matt. And I'd like to take a moment to remind our audience to go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Matt and I are on the road to hit 10K subs. The day we do, Ann Ramsey has agreed that she will finally learn how to catch a pass.
Russ, today we are back and going down memory lane, going through our childhood and remembering the good times when we used to go into a store and pick out a movie off that shelf based on how much that cover intrigued us or frightened us or aroused us.
I feel like the horror section of video stores, that was always the most adventurous. That was the genre you really based your decisions on the cover.
In a lot of cases, movies that never made it to the theater, that were just showing up at these video stores and trying to sell themselves to you based on the cover alone. Sometimes not even indicative of what's going to happen in the movie at all. It's just, this is kind of a thing that was like, we gotta grab this person and bring them in to watch this movie with this really evocative like art.
But at the same time, you discover a lot of great rare gems this way as well.
You do. I'm going to do a top 5. You're going to do a top 5 of our favorite VHS 80s horror covers, the ones that impacted us the most.
If you're around our age, 23, you're probably going to feel similarly about these VHS horror covers.
Wonderful.
For me, number 5 was the original Creepshow. When I was a child walking through the video store aisles, that skeleton handing out the ticket, how precise it was drawn. It captured me every time. It's like that damn skeleton was looking at me directly. And when you're a kid, we're talking like, let's say 6, 7 years old, you know, you're small. This skeleton literally was looking down at me, dude.
Yeah.
It drew you in as a child.
The illustration of that skeleton is badass. That's why. Anytime you give like a skeleton, like flowing hair, just it looks like real badass. And then when he shows up in the movie early on, you're like, oh shit, there's that skeleton from the poster, from the VHS box.
When I first seen it, I'd venture I was 6 or 7. I didn't see Creepshow until maybe like 10 or so. It was like I was waiting. I had to make myself right. I had to build up the courage to finally sit down and, you know, watch Ed Harris dance.
What is that? What is that? No? What is that? What is it?
It's definitely one of the greatest VHS horror covers, one of the great posters of all time, for sure. Definitely from the 80s or any other decade. They did have a second Creepshow, which also kind of had a pretty cool cover, but I have to say the original is definitely, you know, the best.
The first one had a more sinister look to it.
It did. It was like the skeleton's taking a ticket to say, come on in here and get ready to get terrified, bitch. My number 5, House Number 1, is just one of those posters that, again, is so awesome. And I haven't seen it in a while, but I don't even believe that this hand, it's not even part of the movie, which again is a big theme in probably a lot of these posters, where it's just an image that brings you into the film, even if this event isn't really occurring. But this hand is awesome. This just illustration is badass. That font on House is awesome. It's just one of these ones that just has always stayed in my brain as being one of these great horror movies. And it is a movie that scared the shit out of me when I watched it at the age that I did.
Life's a bitch, huh?
This poster almost makes it feel like it's going to be fun. And House 1 is not exactly fun. House 2 is fun. That's also got, you know, a similar poster, but it's got a key instead of it pressing the doorbell.
Now we got this one right here.
And then we got one right there.
House 2, baby. House 2. I'm one of the crazy people who love House 2 and just think the original House is decent.
God damn.
Yeah, both really iconic posters. This one definitely lives up to the fun nature of this poster, whereas House 1 tricked me and terrified me when I watched it. Ding Dong, You're Dead. It's great.
I don't care if you believe me or not.
Coming in at number 4 for me, Matt, is Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. As a child born in 1982, Freddy Krueger was king. I can't understate that. Even if you had never seen the films, just growing up in the 80s, Freddy Krueger was the name everyone threw around as children come Halloween. He was a rock star. And if you think about it, Nightmare 2, this cover that I was familiar with at my local video store, he's not usually that dominant on the covers. He wasn't on the original Nightmare. Dream Warriors, he's barely on it. You know what I mean? This one, he's just front and center. I've always thought in 2, Freddy's makeup is the scariest. It just cut to the chase. He's menacing on it. As a kid, this was the only time I felt legit threatened by Freddy. By the time he came into my awareness, 3, 4, and 5 happened. He was more of the jokester.
Yeah.
But in 2 and on this cover, I didn't get any comedic vibes as a child. And
He looks angry as shit.
He does. And I'll say this. Nightmare 2 was the only one as a child that did kind of scare me. The pool scene alone may be my favorite scene in any Nightmare entry. And I will say, this is the rare case where Freddy's menace matched the cover. I love it. Always loved it.
Russ, that was a fantastic selection. My number 4 is another VHS cover that I absolutely was horrified by when I would walk through the aisles of the video store. It was a movie that I certainly was not going to ever rent, but it just captured my attention. The second I walked by it, I was frightened by it. I would look at it and walk quickly past it, and that is Demons 2.
I don't remember that at all.
Dude, that shit's so scary.
That is pretty fucking cool.
Dude, it's fucking scary as shit. And on my Evil Dead 2 VHS, the trailer for this was on it, and that scene with the person coming out of the TV was on there, and that I always fast forwarded that shit. Like, it scared me. Like, I'm fast forwarding to get to Evil Dead 2 at like 8 years old to like get past that. At a very young age, I was very scared of teeth, which you'll notice is a huge theme in most of these covers. Any sort of scary, sharp teeth. There's something just off about it. There's something weird about those images. The demons are wet, strange, just horrifying. But yeah, dude, look at that person covered in blood and that teeth right there. Dude, that freaked me out. I have to this day never seen this movie. I'm not sure if the film itself lives up to this cover, but this is absolutely a cover that freaked me out.
Coming in at number 3 for me is Chuck Russell's The Blob from 1988. Do you remember seeing this one on the shelves when we were younger?
Absolutely.
This is gross.
Yeah, that's right.
It is gross.
It's gross. And what's hilarious is because this cover was so bleh, I never watched the movie, right? Cut to years later, I'm an adult. I watched this film. It's like a fun romp. It is nothing like this cover. But oddly enough, this is a scene in the movie, and it does look like this in the movie. You are not getting robbed of this scene, but tonally, the film is way more whimsical than what this cover implies.
Yes, this is striking.
It is. And I'm telling you, it's crazy because I was at an age where what this movie is, I would have adored it had I seen it that age.
Yeah.
Well, wow, this scared the shit out of me, so I avoided it.
I remember having a similar reaction looking at that and not even wanting to see it. It just gave me kind of like some of these other ones, like kind of like a weird feeling when you look at them.
This looks like it is one of the most hardcore horror films ever made, and when you turn it on, you get Shawnee Smith and Kevin Dillon mullets.
These people don't give a shit about explanations.
Coming up next for me, Russ, in the number 3 spot is one of my favorite movies of all time. It has an iconic 80s horror VHS box, one that everyone that went to rental stores in the 80s and 90s would recognize, that drew you in and got people started on this movie, which, ironic enough, is something that never even occurs in this movie. There isn't even a skeleton in this movie at all, but that's exactly why I wanted to rent this. I was like, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, with this skeleton with human eyes staring at me. I was like, yeah, let's rent this. I didn't even see Evil Dead 1. All they had was Evil Dead 2. I'd love to know the sort of creative process behind how they went into deciding like what this poster was going to look like and how they landed on this, because I feel like it's brilliant.
It's the human eyes.
Yeah.
It's the human eyes. As a kid, this cover, I saw it all the time. I don't think the title registered to me as a child. I just remember this cover vividly. That skull with human eyes as a child, man.
Yeah.
It grabbed you.
So that's my number 3, Evil Dead 2. I love you, and the VHS cover is one of the greats.
You won't be happy until I meet one of your zombies.
My number 2 is arguably the most striking. I think it should be a contender for the most striking.
Most hideous.
Most hideous. Good word.
It's revolting.
It is impossible to forget the cover of Zombie. You've seen this once. It is burned into your consciousness for the rest of your life.
I've never forgotten it.
You've never forgotten it.
Ever.
More people have seen this image and never forgotten it than have seen the movie.
Does the movie live up to this picture?
And more. This literally happens in the film. You get more of this. And they're slowly rising from the ground. This is Fulci. He's going to take his time giving you all this stuff. It is this cover come to life. You know what else I picked up on at a young age? I knew this wasn't American. This is not Hollywood. And I was like, and not only is this not Hollywood, this is not...
It didn't seem above board.
You're going to have people, acting as zombies in open waters with actual sharks with no safety precautions. These actors could die at any minute in the scenes you're watching. It's a very dangerous film.
Just those teeth, that like worms in the eyeball, that's just so gross.
And you see this cover, it's giving you a promise. It wrote a check that its ass better cash. I promise you it does.
For real.
Number 2 on my list of scary / intriguing / memorable, nostalgic VHS horror covers of all time. Fright Night. I don't know if you had sort of a thing when you were younger that kind of like really weirded you out, but sharp teeth, vampire teeth, all that kind of stuff really like freaked me out. So when I saw this poster, again, was like one of those things that was like daring me to care because it's so awesome. It's one of the best vampire illustrations, just the combo of the house with that vampire face over top. I don't know, dude, this is just always a poster and a VHS cover that has always stood out to me. And it was kind of like you said with the Blob. Like, I'm pretty sure when I ended up finally seeing this movie, not that it doesn't live up to this poster, but this really makes you think you're about to watch some hardcore like horror shit. Like, doesn't this look like some terrifying, like daring you to come and see this creature in this movie? But the movie has got such a different tone than that.
Oddly enough, I disagree with you here.
Oh my God.
I was never scared of this whatsoever. But I think it is one of the greatest covers of all time. Everything about it, the colors, the symmetry, what hovering over the house, his silhouette in the house, everything about this. If you removed all the credits off of this and just framed this, I would hang that up in my house even if I didn't love Fright Night.
It's a beautiful painting.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like too good to be a cover for a movie. And that's what I felt as a child, just not in a terrified way, not in a scared way. It was just in a very, wow, I love that artwork.
This is definitely one of the top tier, and for me, it's number 2, and I feel the best 80s VHS covers of all time.
You're right. You're quite right.
Well, Russ, we're down to number 1, and when we put our lists together, I guess we didn't realize that we were going to end up with the same number 1. This VHS cover is top of the list as far as most iconic, memorable, horrifying of our time, wandering the VHS store and seeing that and looking at it and saying, oh my God, I never, ever wanted to see Night of the Demons. The video store that I went to, the tape was definitely there, but they also had a poster up.
I have a one sheet of this framed in my house right now because it is so iconic. I didn't have anything about teeth at all, but damn, these teeth fuck me up. The colors, it has a seductive quality to it.
This costume, this makeup, everything about it. And like you said, the teeth, which I just mentioned before, it was definitely something that I fixated on and always made me squirm. And this just looked so gnarly. And I just was so scared by it and just knew I was never ever going to see this, and I never have seen it. And I asked you at the time, again, just like Zombie, does the movie live up to this, or is this kind of like Evil Dead, where I'm just going to throw kind of like a really crazy, intriguing image on there to suck you in, and then it's going to kind of take a right turn and it be something completely different. And I've seen some clips since, and there's like a scene where she's like floating, kind of like Evil Dead style. it brought such a strong reaction to me, even though I'm an adult and I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared anymore, but I really am.
Dude, this is what this channel is for, man. We're facing our fears. This is therapy. I'm here for you, brother.
It's staring me right in the eye.
Are you going to take the plunge? Are you going to face your fear, man? Are you going to take back all the power that you gave it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving.
I had one runner-up, and that was Ghoulies. That was just another one that was just so iconic with that little ghoulie coming out of the toilet. It always made me laugh. Everybody knows Ghoulies.
Now, if you recognize this image, you were an 80s child. Even at my young age, I knew, hey, that's knockoff Gremlins.
The suspenders do it for me.
That's sleek.
Another time where, you're not sure if what you're seeing on this poster is what you're going to get. That little guy is in there, and he does come out of a toilet. So that is our list of the best 80s horror VHS covers. Let us know what your favorites are. I'm sure they're all on this list because these are the best.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for watching this video. Check out some of our other videos. We've got reviews. We've got Blue News. We live stream every other Wednesday. Come hang out with us.
Yeah, check us out on Instagram as well, man. Send us a message. Give us a follow. And remember, subscribe. Anne Ramsey's life is in danger if she doesn't catch that damn ball.